And then I'm going to go out to Northern California. And Matthew, welcome. So good to have you. How about if you tell us a little bit about yourself and your film?
Yeah, hi, my name is Matthew Agustin. I am 17 years old. I'm from Sacramento, California. I'm a senior at Monterey Trail High School. And my film is titled The Value of Water. So, just give you a bit of background of myself, why I started making films in the first place. I really started when I was a teenager, I would say, when I was like 13 years old. And my early films, I would say, were like informative documentaries. And then I kind of transitioned into kind of experimenting a little bit. I started doing like drama films. I started doing like mockumentaries and certain like experimenting with different genres of films. And I've done like half a dozen films already ever since. And I'm doing all of the directing and editing. And pretty much all of that. My father is the only person who's like the big cameraman, but most of the time I'm acting and starring in my own films, and I've done like half a dozen of them. But what I really wanted to focus on for my particular brand was like some of the themes that I chose are more environmental films. I kind of went for because I had this passion for nature. I really have this love for nature, and I really wanted to film topics related to like the environment because I have this sort of passion for nature and just looking out and seeing the world, and that was really part of my passion for making this film. So this film called The Value of Water, it really revolves around this boy who apparently goes out into the wilderness and is out to explore nature. But as soon as he does that, he discovers that there's this conscience inside of him, basically not cared about nature, and it's a tragic film, but it teaches us the importance of caring for nature, because unfortunately, if we don't care about nature, then humanity, we're in a very dire situation unless we take care of nature, and that really kind of appeals to emotion, really. And that in and of itself is a very important message that that this film really taught me. As far as the filmmaking process goes, we did shoot it in like a forested area. I believe like I shot some of them I shot like near Sacramento, but other parts I shot in like the Bay Area near the redwood trees over there, and that was a really nice place to shoot because it was really scenic over there, and I really appreciated that. The process of itself of shooting like the scenes where water is like being sprinkled on my face, that was actually really that was really challenging because we had to position it, but we tried to do our best with special effects, and this was my first time also kind of experimenting with special effects, kind of to have like some sort of a fantasy feel for this film, because I just magically opened the door and suddenly I'm in the forest. So this is like my first sort of experimentation with a lot of special effects with this piece. But overall, I would say that the message of this film is really just wanting to focus on those environmental themes, and just for me personally, this love for nature, really.
Great, really appreciate the message about the importance of water. What is it that you really, going forward, you see yourself doing?
Well, yeah, I mean, certainly, given my kind of experience, really, I do want to go into film school. I mean, that's possibly something that I will consider. I know I'm really considering really my options for college, but definitely going to film school is definitely gonna really kind of increase my knowledge. I would say about filmmaking, and certainly what I want to go from here is I actually want to be the director, and I want to like direct my own films, and I want to be the person, I would say, for me, because it's really just this passion for me, and I just want to come up with these ideas. I would say I'm a very creative person. I love experimenting with new ideas and coming up with suggestions for a unique story. And so I would see myself directing my own films, sometime in the near future, and definitely going into film school will definitely like broaden my knowledge.
Overthink that people would not like your film and not understand what the plot of the film was.
Well, for me, I wasn't necessarily afraid of that because part of the filmmaking process really is to really just be open to critical feedback. And like I said, it's really important too. I would say I understand that a lot of people when they make their films, it's really just you have to be really open, to criticism and people just like wanting to like give you suggestions about your films. So part of me is really just through this process, just really learning how to just to comment on other people and just like where do they need improvement on, where do they need to just focus on, and how can they, because certainly from my point of view is I really want to give constructive feedback. Of course, you don't want to give too harsh feedback. It's not helpful ultimately. So you do want to give constructive feedback, and for me that's the kind of message that I find that very helpful and very influential, and that has helped many people, of course. So I really and that's where I see myself going, is also just giving feedback, also for people who are making films, and just to give them that sort of inspiration. My parents were the ones who funded. Of course, they were they really cared about me and really the direction that I'm heading right now. So I'm really grateful for their contribution, I would say, and really just helping me financially, so to speak.
Thank you, parents, for that coming through, right, Matthew?
Yes,
So
I'm
I
very
know
grateful.
all of you, as soon as you guys get your big budget films, you're going to pay parents back.
About the films that I want to make in the future, people who are willing to go through tremendous trials in order to overcome, situations in their lives. And certainly, I'm a person who's endured many of that. I've made countless films actually about that subject, about a person having to overcome some sort of something that they, personally struggled with in their life, and how they managed to break out of that. And certainly I want to see myself, I'm kind of getting into that territory, I would say. I wanted to personally just show that sort of like character. And also I do want to also, like, as far as my environmental themes, surely I'm going to kind of really my love for nature is also another thing. So I do want to make films about a person who's like about humans and the environment, like some sort of a thing where a person about like people having to like adapt to the environment and having to like cope with the environment when it becomes like a tremendous obstacle for the person. And I wanted to convey that we need to teach ourselves just to coexist with nature, and how we can bring about that, especially in a climate right now that these sort of messages are kind of appearing. How can we sort of coexist with nature? So I was thinking of that general theme too. I've also been in like other international film festivals, and so definitely where I see myself, I definitely, like I said, for a lot of these, this ambition for a lot of these people is definitely, I do want to see myself kind of rise to that position, someday. Who knows? That's my hope for myself, and also for you as well. So I just.
That's beautiful. Thank you for that for all, and we truly see you there, Matthew. We look forward to it. We see you going beyond Sacramento, California.
Yes.
And you've already done that, Matthew. You've already done that. I'd love to hear from each of you. Some of you talked about the importance of the environment. Some of you talked about mental health. I'd love for each of you just to give some closing thoughts. Today here in the United States and around the world, we're celebrating the life and legacy of Dr. King. I would love to hear some closing comments of what do you hope for our world, and what do you hope to achieve through filmmaking?
I would say this is a very important point that I'm going to make. I would say that really, if you think about it, cinema is an art form. Ultimately, cinema is an art form. It's a means of creativity. And so what I want to see moving on in the 21st century is we need to see more creativity. And another important thing, don't be afraid to break convention. Don't be afraid to just be bold and just pursue a style and experiment with things a little bit. Don't be afraid to try new ideas. Experiment with new ideas. because those are going to be who knows, those will be revolutionary. We could start a whole new movement in cinema, just like people have started new movements in art or in music, or we could do that. And so I want to see a brand new revolution in cinema, and I really want to see that happen, because because ultimately, once we have that, we can inspire people, and we can bolster this sense of creativity. And so that's what I want to see moving forward into the future with the film industry.
Wow, thank you, Matthew. I love that. Love that. Thank you so much for those words. And hey, we want a revolution from each of you. You've inspired us, you've lifted us. I want to encourage the audience, please see the films. You have got to see the great storytelling and work by these amazing filmmakers and others. I want to thank you and congratulate each of you. Thank you for sharing your voice. Thank you for sharing your vision, and we look forward to your creative genius continuing. At this time, we would like to present a short introduction of our film festival. Again, normally this festival would be in person, so we hope in the future we'll get to see you. And we just want to give you a little snippet of what the festival normally would look like. And over to our director.